14th California Reparations Task Force is scheduled for March 29th and March 30th. Here are some highlights from the last meeting in Sacramento.
American culture, almost from its very beginning, developed a view that viewed it as normal for Black people to have less.
Summarize, the 5 questions are as follows. What are the damage timeframes? This becomes even more important for the prioritization of African American descendants of persons enslaved in the United States, 1865 to 1960. Will there be a California residency requirement? If yes, how will it be determined? I think that question is still open for discussion. 3, what year determines the beginning of harm? Are there different starting points and endpoints for each atrocity category? Will direct victims and/or all African American descendants of U.S. slavery in California who meet the residency requirement be compensated? Based on the last conversation, it seems as we said the latter, but again, that is still up for discussion. And then 5, how will reparations be paid and measured to ensure the form of payment aligns with the estimate of damages? And that is also open for discussion.
This is an interesting topic because we may have a real life example that you might be able to get, and we may even have records. I know in Los Angeles, there's something called the Century Freeway that went through a lot of African-American communities.
And patients intersect with providers at the healthcare encounter. Patients bring demand. Patients can be insured, uninsured, and they can be transient. And you could also have a Freedman patient that is a transient, but is also insured. Patients bring demand to the healthcare encounter. Providers are supposed to just bring service. Come in here, assess, diagnose, prescribe. Typically, unfortunately, for whatever reason, service providers often bring bias into the encounter along with service.
In magenta, those are both Glenn County and Sacramento. This is indicating that neither of these counties had a district attorney or superior court that reported collecting an accused individual's race.
And so if they're then collecting the data, does that mean a defendant has to manually go through hundreds and maybe thousands of cases in which the charges are the same to determine if they're being treated unfairly? Racial Justice Act has little meaning if you don't have the right to compel the agency to produce the information. So again, I think that will end up as part of another recommendation we'd ask the task force.
And that's the goal. I hope his vote will reflect a robust Freedmen's Bureau, because we need an organization that's going to fight for us.
Great. Thank you so much. There are 9 ayes, 0 nays, and thus the ayes have it. So this proposed entity would not simply be an oversight or monitoring body, but it would be an agency, independent agency that would provide services where they don't presently exist, provide oversight to existing state agencies, and then there would leave the option for the additional providing of direct services. So I just want to be clear in terms of the nonpartisan policy analysis, who I did not personally invite, who made a distinction between the oversight body and commission versus an independent agency. And the vote that just passed was not to create simply or just an oversight commission, but a new independent agency.
Thank you. There are 7 ayes, 0 nays, no abstentions, and thus the ayes have it and the motion carries. Our next meeting will be March 29th and 30th in person in Sacramento, then May 2nd in person in Sacramento, June 30th to be determined.
All California Reparations Task Force meetings are open to the public and welcome public comment. Amend the Mass Media Group provides coverage of all California Reparations Task Force meetings. Tune in, tap in, and testify. Reparations Now, fam.